Lance Essihos. Essihos.
You nailed it. How'd you get it the first time, bro? You know how many times I've heard the wrong pronunciation?
I watched you on that show that you were on. It looked like the Today Show or something like that. And I got the pronunciation and I wrote in parentheses next to your name, EASY space OHST, Essihos.
Oh, smart guy.
I got
Dude,
it.
I've had every single pronunciation for that. So it's like people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it just makes it, it's just funny to hear the different pronunciations. But I appreciate it.
It's kind of rude to not get your name right coming on the podcast. So
yeah, well,
it's the least I can do. Dude, sure, I was scrolling through your podcast on your website. 335 episodes. That is a lot of episodes. How long did that take you?
Let me see. We started in December 2018. We started out with 2 episodes a week. Then we went hard for 3 episodes a week.
Ooh.
And then now we're down to 1. So we would be probably at 400 now if I was keeping that pace. But as you know, it's a lot of energy, a lot of hours. And I was just like, all right, this is a lot. I need to scale it back. So yeah, since December 2018, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I am at 100 and I don't even know. I think this is 114, but I know how many that is. I don't know if people realize how much effort all of these podcasts are. And I was scrolling through your list of people. There's 7 people that I've had on that you had on. So we got some overlap. We got some connections.
You've had some fucking great guests, bro.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was Patrick Bet-David.
I love him, man.
he's honestly, dude, I think he's one of the most important people on the planet right now, as far as his awareness, his knowledge. Like, you watch him on Joe Rogan and I was like, dude, this guy is happy
he went on there.
I was like, this guy is next level. Like, look, I've heard him lots, but I was just listening to him and I'm like, this is who we need. And he's trying to kind of wake up Joe. He's kind of educating Joe, because Joe's just super he's disconnected from a lot of things. Cause I think he has to be in some sort, cause it gets, there's so many people trying to.
It was are you talking about the NFT thing?
Well, there's just stuff like that. And I feel like, Joe Rogan's on top of a lot of shit, and he has been over the years, but I just felt like Patrick Bet-David I was like, man, this guy is just, yeah. So
dude, I listened to his podcast. He has his own podcast and he's got a couple guys. Now, actually, here's a question for you. Here's one thing I like about Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He has on reoccurring characters like him and this guy, Adam Sosnick, Sauce, who I've had on I've actually ran through. Valuetainment is their thing. I've ran through everyone on there and I've had him on my podcast, but he has on the same people. And they just, sometimes they'll bring a guest in but if you turn on Patrick Bet-David podcast, it's him and 2 of the same people that are there all the time. So there's no introductions and they kind of jump right into it. And it's not a new guest every time, which is different than Joe Rogan, different than me, different than you. Part of me likes that. Does any of that part of that sound appealing to you, having the same person every time?
I like that in a sense. I mean, Rogan used to be like that with Red Band back in the day, man. Remember
early,
but that was like my beginning days of Rogan, and I really liked that. I like the idea of having the personalities, because it's kind of like a radio show, you listen to in the morning and there's the different personalities.
You know them. You're
like, man, that guy's an idiot or that guy's awesome. And they kind of just mesh, and you look forward to somebody saying something about something, or I don't know. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. I think when I watch Joe Rogan, which of course I do, I pick and choose which episodes I like to watch based upon who the guest is. If it's somebody that I'm familiar with, or Patrick Bet-David, of course I'm turning that on. I'll read the little quick bio and decide if I'm watching it based on that. If it's something I'm not a big hunting person. If you have someone on like that, maybe I'll check a little bit out of it. But with Patrick Bet-David, he still has some people on, but they have the reoccurring guests, and I like that element of the podcast. And it's different, but I don't know. You're right. A radio show. A lot of radio shows are like that. The personalities, the inside jokes. You turn it on. It's easy listening. No introductions. Part of me likes that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't watched a lot of his podcast. I have a little bit. I tuned into one. He was talking about Howard Stern. He was talking about the Spotify deal Joe Rogan did. I think that was one of the only ones I listened to. And to be honest, I kind of forgot about it.
It's good,
I just like his valuetainment, man. Like,
right. I love that too. Yeah.
Like, I was just like, man, this guy is he's knowledgeable, but he's so well-rounded. And it's like, it's entertainment and it's value, right?
Yeah.
It's like
I really think he is on the rise. If somebody asked me right now, who is like the one person you're listening to the most at the moment, I would say him. I would say him for sure.
Yeah,
and,
dude, because
I know him. He's my friend, of course.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's really, especially right now for truth, it's hard to find true journalism or true media that doesn't have some sort of hidden motive or agenda. You know who else is really good is Russell Brand.
I like Russell Brand. I don't watch him as much, but
he's coming out like he's like real honest journalism right now, even on Instagram, bro. Like he's always talking about things. He's got his notes, and I just really appreciate people that just educate themselves and just take it upon their own to be like, hey, I don't know everything, but here's what I do know, and I want to share it with you.
Right.
You know, and that's important. And you know, because we can get really stuck in our own lane and our own ways. And it's interesting to like talk about things and learn about things from somebody that you wouldn't think. Like, for instance, Russell Brand, you know, a comedian in Hollywood and all that shit. And now he's like this very interesting, very smart guy. But I appreciate that because it's hard to know who to trust, man. It's hard to know who's being paid off, who's this, who's that. It's like, I really like that. And I like that about Patrick Bet-David also, is because I just feel like he's true to what he thinks is true, what he's learned from. There's no BS, you know, and that's tough to find.
It is tough to find. It's rare. Okay. So if your podcast blows up so big and whoever the establishment is or someone comes to you and they say, Lance, we want you to start using your voice and your audience to subtly pitch our propaganda, and we will make you rich and famous. That is appealing.
It is appealing. It all depends on the values. It depends on what it is. I mean, if it's something that's completely out of alignment with my values and it gives me a shitty feeling, then I'm not doing it, man. You know, like
$15 million bucks.
Well, it depends on what it is, right?
Right. Of course. Say it's like, I don't know, the same propaganda that a CNN or like
I couldn't
MSNBC,
do it. Couldn't do it.
It probably wouldn't work with your brand.
Dude, like the work that I do on myself, I have to be in truth. I can't be full of shit. And you know, when I suck and I make mistakes, I admit it. I share the journey where I'm at. I don't pretend to have it all figured out, but you know, from where I've come to where I am now, I like to share what it is. And that's just where I'm at. I really work on just speaking the way I actually am. So I think about the long game, and I just think about, you know, what am I doing? You know, like what is the value of what I'm saying? And I believe that if you stay in true to who you are and you're not trying to be somebody else or you sell out, your audience and whoever is meant to listen to you will show up, even if it takes longer. But again, I think those are just shortcuts, you know, like people trying to like switch who they are to become this person. And yeah, of course look, I haven't been faced with that problem, and I don't know if you have.
I will. I mean, no.
I can only be honest and say where I'm at right now. I would say I don't think so. But I mean, as far as I know about me in this present moment, I really work on trying to not be full of shit and just be myself the best I can. My vocab's not the best. You know, I don't try and be, you know, and sometimes I'm like, man, I sound like a trucker the way I speak sometimes, but that's how I speak, you know? So yeah, man, it's a tough call because I think a lot of people are facing that. I've had some friends that are blowing up in the health and wellness space, and they've been asked to promote different things, and he's just called them out right on his social media and been like, "Is this happening to everybody? Like, what is this?" Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's like, man, good for you.
Being real is a special quality. And I just thought of this as you were saying it. Russell Brand, he hasn't been in any Hollywood movies lately.
No, man, he's
He's probably blacklisted from Hollywood for having nuanced political conversations, which are non-biased and regular and normal, and just not being angry at another side for an opposing opinion, which is the right way to be. He's not been in any movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's happened to people that, you know, when you speak out against, you get blacklisted, right?
Yeah, Hollywood.
You know, you even see what happened to Nicki Minaj, man. Like, that was crazy, you know, and that's just the reality, right? So it's hard, man, because everybody's faced with this like moral dilemma about, you know, what's true to me versus what's true to somebody else. Like, what am I supposed to say? What can't I say? What can I say? It's really challenging because it doesn't do anybody any good to get censored, right? So we know that,
especially Hollywood and that and the entertainment and stuff.
Yeah, like you know that people are going to get shut down, and we've seen it. So it's like, how do you convey your message in the best way without, you know, going hard one way or hard the other way? It's kind of like, how do you dance in the middle where you can still resonate with the people that may hate you without getting shut down? I think that's the key. And you know, it's tough, man. And I think Russell Brand has done a great job with kind of navigating that, because he's not necessarily saying that what he says is right. He says, look, I don't know either way.
He's thinking out loud.
This is just this is just the stuff that I've been presented with. Now you make your best decision. You know, and I think that's important in how we convey our messages, because we know what the outcome is if we say certain things. And it's like, okay, it challenges us to be better at how we deliver our message. Right. It's like, how do I do this without getting shut down in a way that kind of makes people think differently and make different decisions, you know?
Yeah, right. If you got canceled, do you think it might be a positive?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I would love to be canceled, because that means that people will be talking about me.
But then it's like, how's anybody gonna hear? Especially if you got a massive audience, like how?
Right.
It's like, it's great.
Canceled meaning like off of YouTube, like Alex Jones or Trump even, or whatever. Yeah, just like off of the platforms.
He's not even allowed on Twitter.
That's so
Taliban
funny.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy stuff we're dealing with. I don't know. It's there's a fine line right now between that. Like it's really, we're in some really interesting times. And I think it's really important to really sit back and be like, how can I convey my message, my truth to the world in a way that's true to me, but doesn't get shut down? Like, how do we do that? Right. And there's people that are doing it, but it's challenging, man. It's like, I think Rogan does a good job with it too. It's like and Patrick Bet-David says some shit, but they say it in a way that doesn't get them shut down. And I think if you have a message, the worst thing you can do is get shut down.
Right. I mean, and if you're big enough, it'll be news. People will fight for you. Then you have people on your side and stuff. But I mean, it's worked for Trump, so it doesn't really work. If canceled is like getting off the platforms, then that's a different thing than just like, you know, people not listening to and stuff. But it's adversity, right? That's what we talk about, adversity.
Yeah, I mean, it's real life adversity that we're dealing with, and you know, everybody's perspective on life is different and what they're going through. It's their own adversity, and it really comes down to perspective, you know, like, how do you see it?
Yeah.
Do you see it as something that's, you know, in the way, or do you see it as an opportunity? You know, I like to use the word dance, because it's a dance. It's like boxing. It's like trying to move around, you know, you take one to give one, these kind of things. And I think it really is your perspective on how you see it. And it's an opportunity, man. Like these times are challenging, but you can either sit in the shit, be a victim, or you just step into it, right? And empower yourself and do the things.
And that message never gets old. Like adversity. Why did you decide to make your podcast about the University of Adversity? Why do you like talking about adversity so much?
It's a great question, and it really just kind of happened. I went through a lot of shit in my story, you know, as we all do. And I just came to a point where, I had just recently decided to leave the bar industry, which I worked in many years, was very toxic. I lost my brother to suicide, my dad to cancer. It was in a very short period of time. And I've told this story, but I think it's really important. And to be honest with you, bro, I wanted to make a change. And that word adversity is just a word that I really liked. I really liked it. And it really felt like it resonated with me a lot. I was like, oh, this is me. This is the thing. And, because of podcasts, I learned a lot from Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan, Bulletproof Radio, Dave Asprey, all the old school ones since like 2011. And I was like, I need one of these things. We talk about radio shows. It's always been something. I was like, I love the idea of like just going and talking shit and whatever. Mm-hmm. And for me, where I was at in that point of time, I needed inspiration in my life. That was what lit me up. And to know that somebody went from something to something else, got out of the shit, I liked that. And I realized, I was like, well, what if I can figure out a way to be able to convey my story in a way that is in a podcast form? And then I can also, have people on and have conversations about their story, because I get inspired by people and their stories. And then, I like to have a conversation. I don't like to just bang questions back and forth. I always love to like really like, feed off each other like we're doing now. And then, that barrier gets broken down and you can see like the trust open up with the person. And I realize like the magic that is created from sharing a story of vulnerability and truth, because we all have it. Everybody has it, no matter what. If somebody has it all figured, feels like they have it all figured out, they're all just a scared boy or girl at one time. Mm-hmm. And they've grown up and they've gotten good at a facade. They've gotten good at a story, but they all have something some deep something that's affected them. And if you can get to that and open that up, it's a beautiful thing. And people get a lot of value from that. So, yes. I just knew I had to do the podcast. I didn't give a shit about everybody, podcasts are too hard, but I don't care. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care. I got in tunnel vision. I said, this is what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing, bro. Like I'd intro somebody and I just did it. I didn't get too much influence because I was like, I
still don't know what I'm doing.
Bro, none of us do. Like, that's the beautiful thing, is like, you just got to operate from truth again. And like, stop listening to what everybody says about how it should be. It's like, man, just own it. And as I started to do that, it was like, things just started to kind of align, good people. And then I was like, okay, I got something here as far as like what I feel is aligned with what I'm doing. And as I started to continue on, I started to heal a lot of my old shit. And I was like, whoa, I feel different. I'm having these high level conversations with people. I'm like, whoa, I feel different. I feel more confident. I feel like I'm becoming the person that I was looking up to, versus like, putting people on pedestals all the time. And you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
You have these conversations and you sort of evolve into that because it just becomes what you're doing all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I have two thoughts. One is my favorite American president of all time, Teddy Roosevelt. His mom and his wife died on the same day. And that reminds me of you, because you said you had your brother and your dad die around the same time. And he went on to be one of the greatest American presidents. So that's a good sign, because adversity makes you stronger. But also, I posted today on my Instagram, just like raw, vulnerable. I feel like kind of lost. And it's people like that more than I know all the answers. I know everything. I mean, you said you got stronger through all these conversations, learning about other people's adversity. Like, that is powerful. And do you feel like you're just like a superhuman now, as far as if anything bad happens, you can handle it?
Yeah, I just feel like it almost takes you off the hook to realize you're not alone. Sometimes we think that we're the only one going through shit. And you start to talk to people and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not alone at this. We're all going through this. And I think that's the relatability that we all need, especially now. People need to be able to understand that it's tough at times, but somebody's going through something worse or something you've been through. And I just think that's important. And for me, I've just gotten better at understanding what adversity really is and how to move through it, and just to understand that it's essential. And it's what we talk about later. When we get to somewhere, we don't talk about how easy it was. We talk about the shit that we went through. So if I want to talk about things later, about my success that I've created, I better go through some shit along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it's like,
mm-hmm.
oh, it was easy. I just started this and it was all, dude, I go through shit every single day. Sorry, I swear a lot. Every single day, even when I was going through, stuff with my own business and being an entrepreneur, it's so challenging at times because we have to face ourselves. And that's really the only thing, is overcoming ourselves every day. Most people will encourage us along the way, like people want to see you win for the most part. Right. And I know for me, I have been the thing that has been in the way, is just overcoming myself. When I overcome myself, things just seem to flow. But what about you? Let me ask you that. Like, with your everyday life and your business and your podcast, like, what is that for you? Like, what is your challenge or your obstacle that you got to face? Is it usually yourself, or is it the externals?
I'm actually going through, like I said, I posted something on my Instagram today about, I'm going through a little bit of adversity right now. So I have a business. I sell monogrammed clothing. I have 17 employees, and I just bought a 22,000 square foot building. Wow, and I like to, thanks. But I like to say that, if I'm bragging, but like cash flow, man, we might get to 7 million in sales this year, maybe probably 6, but it's like I have negative bank accounts all the time. But the next day there's 20,000 about to drop in, but then I have payroll coming, and I have a payment coming. So I'm running a real like business with employees. I decided to hire a purchasing person. I decided to take one of my printers and move them into receiving, like all those like little decisions. I hire an operations manager, Facebook ads and branding on the sales side. I'm running like a real business, and it's going great. I can't complain, but I have paid over $10,000 this year in overdraft fees, and like, it's just so annoying. And wow. but okay. So, but I can't complain about that because we're buying more inventory because we have more space, and then I owe the suppliers money. And but I have a great operations manager. My wife runs the business. She helps with the sales because like girls and stuff like that. She makes the emails. I've been doing this for years. And I kind of have the business down. Now that I'm in this new building, the expenses have changed a little bit, which has to do with the cash flow issues. So I'm dealing with that, but I can deal with that. And that's not necessarily like the problem I'm having. The thing that's been bothering me is this podcast. I've been doing it for 120 weeks, and I started it because I love these conversations. Like right now, I feel I'm so happy I started this because I'm enjoying this. And every time I'm in the moment, I'm enjoying it. And I understand marketing and stuff like that. I mean, I do it for the business and stuff, but that has like a built-in audience. For me, I love talking about entrepreneurship, but it's general. It's pretty general. And if you want to learn about entrepreneurship, I don't know, Gary Vee's better than me. I talk about a lot of different topics that I'm interested in. I've had people on about, cryptocurrency, like gene editing, 3D printing, all kinds of different stuff that I'm interested in. I reach out to people, and so I'm not necessarily gathering an audience. And I don't know why, like on all those different topics, there's better places to go than me. And even someone like a Joe Rogan, he was on a TV and stand-up comic, and he was on that show News Radio before he started. I'm nothing, and I enjoy it. And I hired a producer that I had for a year, a great guy, like really talented, but got rid of him because I had some, it was a little heady. And then I got a new guy for the last 3 months, and he wasn't as talented. Good guy, good head on his shoulders, just ugly thumbnails and like no good ideas. And I'm leaning on those people a little bit and I'm paying them and stuff. And now, just like 2 days ago, I'm out a producer. So he left me his cameras. I'm filming it here and everything. But I don't know. I was like, what am I doing? Like I could be, why am I doing this? I'm not making any money, but I feel like I'm at that point where you framed it one way. I like talking about adversity as like a superhero movie. They never are just really super, and then they're really, really super. They always have the kryptonite or the bad guy to take them down. There's every superhero movie. There's that moment where it looks like they're about to lose. And a couple of years ago, in my actual business, before I bought the building and got out of trouble, I was actually like $300,000 in the hole, and I had to fire employees, and I bought a house. I had to rent it out and sleep at my building, and the air conditioning went out. So, cause I didn't pay the bill. So I was at a point for like 6 months in 2017, 2018. I always forget the year, but pretty recently, where I had a great business with lots of sales, but I was spending too much on ads, too much on payroll. Now at 3 years after that, it was going great because I worked out the numbers. Now I'm working with some new numbers in this new building, but I went through the adversity there, and I'm doing, and that business is going great. Now I feel like I'm at the point where I'm going through some adversity with a podcast. And I mean, I think I'm good at it, but I'm just like, oh, what the hell, man? Like, what keeps you going?
Well, bro, I mean, you're dealing with exactly what you need to deal with right now.
Yeah.
Right. You need, like, you're, again, overcoming yourself. That's literally
yeah.
You're doubting your belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Because of the numbers and because of this, and it's all bullshit, bro. All that
it's not like me, but I am going through that.
But it's good. Thank you for sharing that too. But think about the relationships you're building. That is everything. You can't just get on calls with the people that you do just regularly. You have a secret hack that most don't have. So I try and say this to our clients. See, I have a podcast production company too, and so
I don't have a company that does that.
Well,
so I might need one.
The only reason I could do this in the first place was because I started the podcast. I hired people, and I was like, I need to create this same thing for people. So the thing is this, bro, is what I say is I go, people don't see the long game in podcasting enough. People see it as I need an ROI because everybody wants things so fucking quick all the time. And what this is doing though, like I've always said, if you're doing it for at least 5 years, don't bother because you got to plant seeds and it has to take time. And I'll tell you this, when I started, there was so many people that were more established than I am that have dropped off because they quit. And now I'm like, just trucking along, just continuing on. Dude, it's the consistency. If you stay on and people see you just keep showing up, it doesn't matter. The right people will hear you and it'll grow. Yeah, there's still very, very little amounts of podcasts. I think there's like on the big scale, like maybe 2.5, 3 million, not even active podcasts in the world compared to like YouTube channels. There's like tens of millions. And I just say to people, I'm like, get out of your head, do it because you want to do it. It's the long game. And if anything, at the very least, just look at it as the one-on-one relationships you build, because that's everything. And you start to stack that up over the hundreds and into the thousands. Like, dude, you got like these amazing connections. And at the very least, that's going to help you grow, but you're going to grow from the show too. So I would highly recommend where you're at. And sometimes it's hard to see. I do the same. The reason I can resonate with what you're saying is because like I say this to my team. I'm like, what am I doing? They're like, do you realize who you've interviewed? Do you realize the people you've talked to? Right. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of.
It is cool.
You kind of forget, right? But that is the feedback from the universe being like, you're doing the right thing. If you weren't getting anybody on your show and you weren't getting any good names, dude, then that's like a little bit. But this is the dance, is like you're at where you're at, and the doubt is like is gonna get spiritual on you here, but like,
love it.
It's like your ego is trying to keep you down, and your higher self wants you to rise, but before you rise, you're going to be challenged and you're going to try and sabotage yourself. You're going to start to have the stories, you're going to have the comparisons to other people, everything. You're going to start doing things, destructive habits, and that's normal. But it's just a matter of like understanding that and being aware of that and being like, no, okay, like I started this because of this reason, so I'm going to see it through for years. And again, like I say this to people when they're launching podcasts, look at this like a business. Mm-hmm. This is a long game, and you have to look at your vision. Like, why the fuck am I starting this? Who am I speaking to? Like, why am I doing this? What is it about? Like, why am I doing this? And if you are clear enough with that, then nothing matters. None of it matters. As long as you're, because the people, even if you change one life, that's all that matters. So
right.
My invitation to you, bro, is I'm going through the same thing. Just remember the long game, because you're already successful in business. So I would just say, like, this is like your personal brand accelerator. This is just like a secret hack that most people don't have, and it's essential. So and talking to these people, man, I think you know, things will change a lot, but just remember to like just have that perspective as to like the long game, because shit doesn't happen overnight. People think, oh, I'm gonna beat Joe Rogan overnight. No, man, that's not how it works. Right. So
that makes me feel good. I appreciate that, because I kind of know that, and I'm here doing a podcast. I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
But I'm used to having my producer back there. I don't have anyone, but dude, I mean, when I started this, I knew it was going to be a long haul, and you've probably done this. Tell me how you think about this and how people listening. If you're listening, hey, can use this tactic. It's like, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be difficult. Oh, I kind of forgot my train of thought there, but it's like it's difficult, and you know that in advance. So here's what I was going to say. You train yourself to get some type of endorphins or dopamine when it is difficult. I think I've done that. And like right now, I posted a video today, like I said, kind of saying I'm not at the best place. The title was like, I'm kind of lost with my podcast. I've been doing 120 weeks, and I just kind of was raw about it. Got the most comments I've gotten in a while, just because I feel like people do like raw, and people like seeing other people kind of be vulnerable. But I was being real, and I'm at that point a little bit, and I like it a little bit. I don't, because of logic, but the training that I've done to myself, where things are bad, and I've tried to train myself. Things are bad. That means you're at like a breaking point. Like, it's good. I think I've done a good job of training myself like that. Have you ever heard of that, or do you advise that?
Yeah, bro. I mean,
it's like a training.
I mean, you just kind of get the problem is a lot of times we base what we're doing in the present moment on our past. If we failed shit in the past, then we're going to go, oh, well, this is just like that. And it's not. You've never done a podcast before. Neither have I. This is I've been doing this for 2.5 years, going on 3 years. You've been doing it for, how many episodes? 120,
115.
So you've never done it. So this is, how do we know? How do you know that this won't be super, super, super success? It already is. Who is the person that's deciding whether something's successful? It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Us trying to say that it has to be a certain way for it to be successful. And that all comes from our own self, our own belief.
Yeah.
If it's successful, it's because we're happy doing what we're doing.
Right.
And we're connecting with people. And I guess, man, like I'm going through my own stuff with, investing things in my business and not getting the return. But all I can do is trust the unknown, and trust that if I'm doing my best in the moment, that the outcome is going to be something that serves me. That's all I can do. Like, that's all we can do. And I try not to allow, I've done a lot of work on myself, man, a lot. Psychedelics, you name it.
Yeah.
To really help with the stories that I tell myself, because we have these stories that cloud our lens, and they make it foggy, so that we're looking at shit and we're not actually present because we have the past sneaking in. And I'm just really working on trying to give every single moment a fresh, clean canvas, because when you're present, everything is brand new. That's the key, is that every opportunity, every setback, everything happens. It's a new opportunity. It has nothing to do with the past. So I've been like learning that, especially talking to people, even like Bradley, as we were talking, had him on today. And like, it's a perspective, man. He's like, I want these things to happen because then I can grow and I can figure shit out, because you're not going to get better unless it gets a little bit challenging. You can't. You have to almost seek it.
Most people quit there.
And the people that are really crushing it are the ones that are just comfortable with seeing that as, man, this sucks, but let's get through this. Let's do this, because otherwise it would be boring.
Right. That's where the training is. Let me say one. Let me say one thing and ask you a question. The one logical element is a podcast is, yes, it takes a long time, all that stuff we just said, but it is a good business model. Joe Rogan's probably still making money off his old episodes. It's a good business model because you can do it once and it can live on. And in addition, it helps you network and create a personal brand. And even if everything falls, you're still you. So your personal brand is valuable. Those are the logical things I want to say, just maybe to myself, about the value of doing it in general. And then,
and you have content that can be produced into micro content all over the place. Like you have evergreen content.
Of course. And I think about this a lot, and it's weird that I think about this a lot, but also I'm married, but I don't have any kids yet. But your kid, like people, even if the smallest amount of people, like your family or just your kids, they all know so much about you. That's kind of cool. And I just, what's the best gift you can give to your kid? Hey, Jimmy, here's 3,000 hours of me talking about the world in real time. That's kind of cool too, as a backup reasoning. Dude, I mean, my dad, your dad passed. My dad died of ALS when I was 12. And I have he wrote us a couple notes, and I have like one video. I don't know. It was all like filtered through my aunt. So it was probably like the PG version. I wish it'd be so cool if he had all these podcasts. I mean, I would dive in. I mean, so there's at least one other reason why it's cool.
That's a great point. And at the very least, like you're sharing meaningful conversations with the world. And that's just you being you. You get to show up and just be yourself. Like we're just being ourselves talking. And think about it. If one person listens, man, like 10 people, it's amazing. Yeah. And we forget about that. We want millions of downloads and hundreds of millions. And, these are all humans with lives. And if they even take time to listen, to go to the gym, and they choose your show or my show, we got to remember and be grateful for that. Like we got to really come back to reality and be like, man, if 10 people are listening, like that's 10 people.
That's pretty cool.
Think about that in a room. They're listening to you. If 10 people, 20 people, 50 people are listening to you in a room, that feels good, right?
Yeah, that's like a very successful guy on the corner of the street that's like up on a box talking, and people start coming around, like 10 people. You're like, wow, if you're in New York City and you see a guy in a box with 10 people, you're like, yo, what's that guy saying, man? That's pretty good.
Yeah, right? So like the problem is these expectations of these metrics. We don't know how many downloads were bought from people. There's all kinds of BS that goes on. Hundreds of millions of this and that. I get pitched every day. Do you want to grow your show and downloads?
Every day.
I'm
15 in my DMs.
How many people are doing this? Like, it's like a huge business. And I've been told big names have been, and it's like, I don't want to get into that, but it's like, all right.
You can usually tell. You can usually tell.
Crazy.
If you care, you can look at like other platforms. Dude, I did a loop once. It's like they put you on a thing and it's like, follow him if you want to win this thing. I did that once, and now I get them all the time. And I want to do them sometimes. Yeah, I want to do them, but I just don't anymore because it's just so stupid.
Well, with the podcast though itself, it's like, that's the thing, is like where I was going, and I agree. Where I was going with that was just like, we have these, and I go through this too, and I'm just glad we're talking about this because this like helps me have perspective as well. Because I just think we care too much about the numbers, and we look at the Lewis Houses of the world, and I'm like, whatever, man, you're 10 years ahead. I keep telling myself I'm going to pass that guy one day, and that's my goal. Lewis, how I'm like, I'm gonna, and I'm like, I can fucking do what he does. Like, what is, you know what I mean? But you have to, it has to be that like level of belief in yourself. And I think so many people fold because of that comparison shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, who cares where they're at, man? Like, just do your own thing. It's your unique way. And dude, I really believe that that's the key in life. It's like, how long are you willing to believe in yourself? Like, how long are you willing to do it for?
You have to be like Kanye. You just have to be that. Kanye is one of my favorite. I love Kanye West. He's probably my favorite person on the planet. And honestly, Trump's kind of like that too. It's just, you're delusional in your own self-belief. And to me, I love that. I love that. I love it.
Kanye's smart dude, man.
Well, like, if he didn't have, which he does, so it's hard to say, his incredible music talent. He's my favorite he's my favorite musician. I'm a huge Kanye fan. If he didn't have the music that was so amazing, he would just be some maniac who would know him. But he's definitely a genius when it comes to marketing stuff. But like, if you just break it down, the belief in himself is special and inspiring. It makes me warm inside. Like, everyone should not like always think you're right, but rotate yourself in a way where you can always frame that you believe in yourself.
Yeah, I think I agree. I just think we got to be humble students of life. Always be willing to learn. Always be willing to learn from everybody, regardless of if they're ahead of you or behind. You can learn from everybody. You can learn from the homeless guy on the street. Maybe they were rich one day. You can learn from the person at the grocery store. Like, you can learn from people, man. If you're a humble student of life all the time, you'll get places without judgment of people. You don't know the shoes that they've walked in, right? And I think people tend to think that because you get to a certain level of success that you can only learn from people that are like, a celebrity-like figure. And it's just not true. I think there's a lot to learn from people, and there's a lot to learn. And I think the belief in yourself is not like acting like you know everything. It's just like knowing, like, I believe I'm clear enough in how I feel and that I'm in truth that whatever I do is going to work out. Trusting the unknown. And this was a thing when I was doing plant medicine, ayahuasca. It's like, it's all you have is you have to trust the unknown. You have to trust that the fear is going to bring you something on the other side of that. And that your commitment to believing in yourself will be rewarded. Because if you're not living in truth and believing yourself, then you're living someone else's story. That's really what it comes down to. So I admire somebody that's like believes in themselves so much, but I also admire someone that believes, but is willing to listen and learn too, because then you can take all this stuff and you can be better, which will give you more belief in yourself. But if you're closed off, I know everything. Right. I only listen to these people.
Then you're lying.
I'm spiritually woke. It's like, you're not, you're missing the point. If you think you know everything, you're missing the whole point of life.
I like to call them cobwebs in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
Where like, you don't let yourself go there. So you just block off that part of your brain, and you don't like to have deep conversations, and it just holds you back in every way because you don't communicate well with yourself. And that's not the best way to be. Let me ask you about the ayahuasca stuff. All right. So cause like, all right. So you said like you had addiction to drugs and alcohol. Are you sober now?
I'm not sober to alcohol, but I've definitely got control of that.
Okay. Cause some of my favorite people, you fall into this category. My favorite people in the world are people who were like, so you shouldn't, if you have a problem, you have to deal with that one problem. And maybe you don't have to be dead sober. Like I actually have a friend who's an alcoholic, and he doesn't drink anymore, but he does everything else, and his life's back on track. Like, so, but I love people who are sober and then like still go to weddings and parties and are just as fun. I love that. I respect that so much. But the people with cobwebs, they do not like to do psychedelics or ayahuasca, I think, because that's opening up those cobwebs, and they don't like that. And they might have a bad trip or whatever. I did shrooms twice in my life. Yeah. I did shrooms twice in my life. I never really did it. I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I'm so open right now. I never really did it in college and stuff. I just never got around to it. Did it once. It was like, didn't really do that much with this one. I did it one time recently with my friend, and we said we're going to do it once a year. And oh my God, it was incredible. Like, all these amazing thoughts I had, I remembered them all, and I just felt so incredible, open to the world. And now me and my friend both said, we didn't fear ourselves in the moment. We didn't do it and then like see ourselves and be scared. Once we sobered up, we said, I remember how I felt, and I'm comfortable with myself. And that's a good sign, I feel like. And I feel like the people with the cobwebs, they don't like it. They have the bad trip. They won't do it because they don't want to go to the deepest parts of the back of their brain. And they're just not comfortable there.
It's tough. It's tough. And that's beautiful share, man. I appreciate you sharing that. It's
can't believe I shared that, by the way.
That's awesome. Mushrooms are, I mean,
is it different? Is the ayahuasca different? I'm not that knowledgeable.
Well, this is the thing that's funny about our society is that alcohol, which is the most dangerous thing in the world, is like sold everywhere. Yeah. Mushrooms, the safest out of everything is, it's getting more, it's medicine, bro. It's not a drug. It's medicine, and it helps people.
Well, serious. It's all about, it is serious because of the people with the cobwebs.
Yeah. Well, it's all set and setting. That's the difference. If you do it as a party drug, recreational, yeah, you can drink and do mushrooms. That's a totally different situation. But if you have a setting and you have intentions and you go into it with a healing experience, it's a whole different world. You're getting into things that you wouldn't normally see and feel. And yeah, it's a roller coaster sometimes. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll see stuff, you'll face stuff. But it's the trusting that you'll be okay that allows you to get through, and you learn a lot from that. Ayahuasca is, it's deep, man. It's tough.
How much different is it than mushrooms? Like, what are some of the differences?
Mushrooms is a good way to kind of get your toe wet as far as something similar.
Okay.
Ayahuasca is just, man, this stuff is no joke. You got to have a trained shaman, people that know what they're doing. I went to a very credible place called Soltara in Costa Rica. Yeah. Amazing. This stuff is like, you go into different dimensions, man. You really go into it. And what's important is to know that set and setting is everything. Intention is everything. And what it does is it forces you to look at things you may not want to look at. There's stuff that's deep. Like, I like your cobweb thing, because that to me, what comes to me is like a trauma. So you got all these cobwebs, and that's a great metaphor for trauma, because it's like,
it bounces back. You kind of get there. It's like you gotta get all the way through it.
This is what it's like, is like during the experience. Well, first of all, during our everyday lives, it's easy for us to bypass our feelings and drink and whatever your addiction is to kind of numb yourself and move on. It's easy to compartmentalize. What happens in the medicine space, particularly ayahuasca, is that those cobwebs are put right in your face, and you're like, oh shit. And if you can't, and you panic, you will go into challenging situations where you'll feel like you're stuck and you're never coming out. The best thing you can do is breathe through it and trust and ask from a level of curiosity, instead of like, why is this happening? Be like, what is this teaching me? Like, what can I learn from this? And breathing through it, and eventually things calm down. But it's easy to get caught in that fear. And then the cobweb, you're going to feel it. You may cry, you may puke, you may do all the things, but it's going to move through. But you're going to feel it, and you're going to move through. That's the beauty of it, is that psychedelics aren't for everybody. But if you've done a lot of the work, I've done a lot of different healing modalities. Psychedelics, I was called to, especially ayahuasca, and I needed to do it. For me, it will show you things that you need to look at. And when you feel them and you can move through them, then these things won't show up as much, and your addictions won't be as present, because If you listen to Gabor Mate, a very great doctor who deals with addiction, talks about addiction is rooted in trauma. That's pretty, a lot of the addiction. So whether it's, or the cobwebs, it could be a small one from something that you didn't even realize, somebody embarrassed you as a kid.
Yeah.
And now you've been trying to cope with this thing over the years to kind of like some sort of diversion from feeling that thing. And then alcohol comes and you're like, ooh,
yeah, box it.
This is what happened with me. There was so much shit in my teen years and younger, and alcohol came and I was like, ooh,
yeah,
I feel like a different person. And then you create this new persona and you're like, I don't know how to act without it. And then what problem is like, if you haven't dealt with the root, which is the trauma, then whether you take alcohol out or whether you don't, there's always going to be something that you're going to numb yourself with. So when you deal with the trauma, sometimes it's hard. When you deal with that, most times the addiction won't be as present anymore because you've dealt with the underlying issue. But sometimes people think that it's the alcohol, it's the drugs. It's usually something deeper. So to go back to ayahuasca, mushrooms, whatever, these things that force you to look or feel these things that you may not want to feel or may not have even known of, because they're so deep in our psyche from when we were kids or our past in generational trauma from family. It's been shown that we've carried that over. It's wild what goes on in our brains. So what I've learned is there's plenty of modalities to move through this shit, but psychedelics is one of these things, particularly ayahuasca and other things too, that allow you to really face it. It takes a true warrior to sit in that and get through it. But I'm telling you, when you finish, you feel like a different person because you've worked through the stuff, you've given it the space, and you move through it with intention.
Wow. And when you talk about the set and setting and the shaman, is that basically, I know it's like preparation. I know I'm about to deal with this stuff, and that probably helps when it happens. Is that essentially it? You
gotta do your research, and you gotta go and understand.
You can't just take it like,
no,
like cocaine, ecstasy. No, nothing like that. That's not
did plenty of that in the past. No, you don't.
This doesn't go with those. It's a day, right? It's like you get a good night's sleep.
I did 4 nights. It's a proper thing. You want to go into the jungle or somewhere that sounds Central awesome, America, man. South America, where it's legal. It's not legal here, right? I went to a place where it was legal, and Central America.
You think it should be legal here?
Well, I just think that
I don't know. Man.
I think mushrooms. I think that there needs to be some serious like regulation with like how it's served. I think if alcohol is legal and cigarettes are legal, there's something really wrong with like.
Yeah, but those don't. Yeah.
I think we're getting.
I kind of understand. I'm not for it, but I kind of understand why psychedelics and even marijuana has gone through. Marijuana is coming back to the mainstream, but is illegal because people can't do it. The average person, man, they can't deal with that shit. Like they don't listen to these podcasts. They're not enlightened. They just can't be taking this and then like going out into the normal world with all these issues in their face. Like,
but if you take this stuff isn't like addicting stuff. You take ayahuasca.
Oh yeah, of course.
You'll never want to take it again in your life.
Yeah.
But my theory is like there's no
such
thing as a bad trip. You get what you need, not what you want.
Yeah, but then if you get out of it, I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, no, that's good.
If you get out of it and then you just continue to block it. Like if you weren't expecting it, if you didn't do the prep and you didn't have the shaman and you weren't doing it properly and you went through the experience and you faced all your cobwebs, faced all your demons and traumas, and then you had a terrible trip, you freaked out, you sober up, and then you continue just to block it.
Yeah.
I think some people do that.
Yeah, I mean, totally, man. I think the integration, and look, I'm no expert and I don't claim to be. I'm only speaking around like how much I've done and what I've done. I'm no expert. But here's what I do know is just like anything, it's the integration after that matters. You can do all the things in the world, but if you read a book and you don't apply what you learn, it's a waste.
Yeah.
It's the same with this. It's what you put into it and what you're willing. You get homework, you take away, what are you going to do? And you do it. If you don't do it, I mean, tons of people fall back into it. It's just like, how committed are you to growth? It's not a one and done thing. Some people it is, some people it's not. Mm-hmm. But it's really important, and the integration is everything. It's more important, because if you're not integrating, then you're just chasing another experience, and it just becomes recreational. And it is a problem with some of the spiritual community I've seen.
Yeah.
It's like you get these answers, but these answers aren't good enough, and I want to keep seeking more. It's just like people take a course, they do that, but then they're like, oh, well, I want different answers. I want this, I want that. It's like,
I think you're different answers.
Just apply what you learned. Like that's the same thing. And again, this is just my story of what I've done. Not everybody needs this, but for me, it was helpful in my path. And I just like to share what I've been through, but there's plenty of other ways to work through shit in your life.
What about like a psychiatrist or that's kind of the same. That's what I meant. Yeah. I don't know.
Therapist. You know what? I know a lot of people that have done talk therapy that have like worked for them, man. I haven't personally. I think I want to. I think it's really useful.
It's the same concept, right?
I've done clinical
get through the cobwebs.
Yeah. I mean, I think therapy is great. I can't speak to it because I've never really done it. I've done hypnotherapy. I've done, holotropic breath work. I've done meditation. Joe Dispenza meditations. I went to his,
you still meditate a lot?
What's that?
You meditate a lot now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's part of it's a staple. It's essential. Otherwise I'm a scatterbrain.
Yeah. I have an Oculus, and there's this app called the Trip app, and it's amazing. It's the best meditation. Like I only do it about probably once a week now, which I'm mad at myself for. I went through a 6-month period where I did it every day. But the Oculus, dude, it has like these little things, and it has the breath like come into your mouth.
Oh wow.
There's these little stars, and you go, and then you hold it, and then you go, and the stars that come out of your mouth. So it helps you with the actual cadence of the breathing. And I highly recommend the Oculus for meditation.
I was gonna say, what the hell is an Oculus, bro?
It's the
I know, I get it now.
I wish I had it like right near me because I could put it on.
I get it now.
But it's like that Facebook, you put it on your face. It's like the 3D reality thing.
Yeah, I get it.
But meditation. A lot of people can't do it because they just sit for 2 minutes, and it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard because you're getting over yourself. Again, like I said in the beginning, you're literally overcoming yourself. And the people that say it's too hard need to do it the most.
Right.
It creates a connection to yourself, which creates more freedom, which creates everything within wholeness in yourself. And when you connect to yourself, you create more wholeness and joy, which means you need less from the world, which means you create more, you attract more into your life.
Yeah.
Which is the crazy thing, because you feel whole, you feel love, you feel joy, all those things. Well, then you don't think you need as much. You already are that. And guess what happens? Right. Law of attraction is what you attract, what you are, not what you want. That's what people don't get. So meditation is a great way to like give you the wholeness without you having to do other things. Dude, I saw healing and shit happen in Dr. Joe's retreat that I've never even experienced. Like that
was the Costa Rica one?
No, I was in Denver.
Okay.
And just seeing like what happens with people getting out of their wheelchairs for the first time and walking, people like testimonials of people healing like terminal illnesses. Like this shit's crazy, man. You can't just like talk about this stuff all over the place because people get all, oh, you can't do that. Dude, I saw and I felt what these meditations do. And you realize you're like, man, we are limitless beings. We are conditioned to feel like we can't do shit. Like we need other things to make us feel whole and worthy, but it's not true. If we start with ourselves, awareness, and reflect, and we do the meditations, we do the journaling, dude, we can really set ourselves up. And that's why I say to people, start out small, but like, man, if it's 1 minute a day, that's a win. Go 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you can condition yourself consistently to do it, your whole life will change. I promise you that.
I have a hair standing up my arm thinking about the limitlessness of the brain. It's so cool. This might be on topic or it might be off topic, but I didn't listen to the whole thing, but you did a podcast more recently with Elizabeth April. And she was saying, I admit, I didn't listen to the whole thing.
That's a random one. That's awesome.
Let me set it up. It was more recent, but for the audience, I turned it on. this casual, this casual pretty girl just chatting. And she says, yeah, when I was 10 or when I was a kid, I was abducted by aliens. And then I learned a lot from them. And then, when I was around 10, like everyone thought I was weird. So I stopped doing it. And then, I stopped thinking about, I acted like it didn't happen because everyone thought I was so weird, but it did happen. She was so confident that it happened. And I didn't listen. I didn't judge because I don't judge, and I'm open-minded. I recently had a hypnotist on my podcast who told me about remote viewing and how you can see what's happening through other people's eyes and you pick up the waves. It sounds a little kooky to me, but I don't judge. Is anything like that related to the power of the mind, or like, am I off topic?
No, bro. I mean, no, I appreciate it. I don't get to talk about this stuff that often. And I like to just talk about shit like this because, I always end up talking about adversity, and it's nice to talk about other things. Like I was following her content on YouTube and Instagram for a while. She's got a massive loyal following. And I was intrigued because she asked to go on Joe Rogan's show, and he's like, you need to take some pills or something. Like she was, because
he answered.
Yeah, or something. I don't know what happened, but I don't know, man. I'm after realizing what is going on in the world and what we've been taught up until now, that there's been a lot of untruths that we've been taught over the years. And the way I look at reality is I'm open to all possibilities. If somebody is saying something happened, man, I'm going to listen to them, because what the fuck do I know?
Especially with her level of conviction. She was saying,
how do we know,
why would
man?
I lie about this? Why would I lie? If I was going to lie, I would lie about this or this.
She knows too much. And how can I say, just because, how can I be ignorant and deny somebody that could be potentially their truth because I think that it's bullshit? Look, right. I had the same skepticism too, but
yeah, it's easy to be skeptical of that.
But then I'm like, hold on a second. This is, I've learned to open up and be like, oh, okay. This seems crazy, wild to me, but how do I know? How is she able to tap into this? She does readings she used to do readings for people. And I'm like, this is wild stuff, but who am I to say it's not true? I don't know.
Do you, after talking to her, and being open-minded to it, of course, do you have any type of conclusion or final thoughts?
I think she's telling the truth. I don't know enough about what she's talking about to really. Yeah. I think that there's more to the alien, whatever that is, than we may know in our awareness. I think it's more frequent. I think this kind of shit happens more, but people can't talk about it because of the very reason they get called crazy. And I think whatever that is, I don't know if aliens or whatever the hell it is, I'm just open to it. Maybe I'm too open. I'm too optimistic. I just like to trust people that what they say is true until they give me a reason not to believe them. Do
you believe in God?
Oh, so much, man. Deep in my heart. My heart. But that is God to me is like,
let me ask you, let me reframe the question actually.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the God from the Bible?
I don't believe in organized religion. I don't believe that for me, I believe
the God from the Bible was a dick. He drowned all those people, and he was always giving people like ultimatums and
I think the Bible was written in a way that the message is unconditional love. It doesn't matter.
Great stories.
Who whether it's Jesus or Buddha, whatever. I think it was. This is my opinion. I hope nobody gets mad at me for this, but if they do, whatever.
Good, we'll get this episode canceled. That'll be good.
I believe that religion was created out of fear, and I think spirituality is a place of love. Anybody that tells you that you have to be a certain way to receive love or be accepted is not love. It's not from a place of love, and I don't believe that is the way it is. I think the message of Jesus and any spiritual teacher is unconditional love. Seek that within other people and firstly with yourself. And I believe in God. I believe we all are we all are connected to source, to God. Like I've seen it. And if you don't believe in that stuff, go do psychedelic, go do on a deep trip, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
All the atheists out there, I respect you.
I've always considered myself an atheist, but I think it's because, honestly, again with Kanye, I swear to God, Kanye's made me more religious, just like open up my eyes. But when I say that, I mean I don't believe in the God from the Bible, like the literal figure who talked to people and stopped talking to people, like the Bible version of God. But there's so many inexplicable things, and there's so much. I believe spirits linger for like a little bit after they die, which is like there's a lot of people who even ghosts and stuff like that. Like I don't know about that. I got this weird phone call after my grandpa died. It was like static, and it was my grandpa, and he said, "Yo, yo," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then like I was like, "Oh my God," and then it was real staticky. And then, dude, every time I tell the story, I lose everyone. And then this is just what happened. It said, "Yo," and my grandpa always said, "Yo, yo," and then it said, "Let's get some bitches," and I hung up because I was freaked out. But my grandma did die. It's like the worst story because that's just what happened.
It's hilarious.
But his last words were Loretta, which was my grandma's name, who died before him. So I'm thinking maybe he's like, I'm about to go get laid, like with his wife. I don't know, man. But I do believe spirits linger. There's just many unexplainable energies. I believe in energy. I believe in momentum and home court advantage in a sports game. Like that's energy. Like,
well, we are energy, bro. That's what we are, and we're connected to
like
a higher energy. And until you connect to yourself, you won't connect with God. You are like, we're all pieces of God. Like we are connected to it, but people are too fixed on the external world, all the things. When you connect to yourself and you go deep, you realize that there is more to this than just that. And again, I say, you'll realize that if you do a deep ayahuasca trip. There's more than this reality than people think. And that's, take it or leave it. But until you have gone to the depths of meditation and you've gone deep within yourself and you're ready to go and face those cobwebs, you can't, like, I think it's somebody to say, "Oh, there's no God." You haven't done the fucking work to even get there. So,
right.
I mean, I respect someone's opinion, but you just haven't connected deep enough to yourself to even realize the connection that you have to God, source, universe that is there. There's no doubt in my mind. I used to be the same way. You know, my brother's very religious. I went along many years where I was like,
the brother who you lost?
No, my older brother.
Okay.
But there was a time where I was like, "Oh, it's all bullshit," and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but then I realized I was like, "Oh no, I get it." Started practicing gratitude, meditation. And I was like, I get it. Okay. I get it. Yeah. And I just think that religion itself took an idea that was beautiful and turned it into some sort of thing where it was turned against people and created this fear where it's like, if you don't do this, you burn in this lava. You're going to burn in this lava if you don't do everything we say. What? Come on. That doesn't make any sense. Like, we're all here. We're all just trying to figure it out. I love you. I love the way you are. Acceptance of somebody for who they are is love. And that's what I believe real spirituality, real religion is.
You're not trying to rebrand God, which I kind of like. Like, obviously God's been around forever. The God from the Bible is where the name came from, I think. I don't know. But you could say, I don't believe in the God from the Bible, but I believe in all these spirits and energies. Like, that's where I kind of was. And then when Kanye started, saying God, like I kind of knew what he meant. And we might as well keep that branding of whatever, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
It's whatever you want it to be.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Whatever you feel connected to.
But so for years I was saying, I'm spiritual, all this stuff. I don't believe in God, but well, I might as well go with the branding. It's been around forever.
I think it's just a label that we have. I think the word, and
you have to identify it. That's what words are.
Yeah. I think it's like, it puts it in a box that it has to be a certain way.
Right. So you got to get rid of that box.
That's the problem with that word.
Right. Exactly. That's, but I feel like in this time, it's that word. It's kind of cool to keep that word now. It's kind of like nostalgia.
I agree.
Like I'm down. I'm actually like, in the past couple of months, like even like right now, like I'm almost saying it. Let's keep the word. You know, I'm not convincing anyone, but for me, let's keep the word. Let's like, you know, grocery stores have the same name, whether they're used to be little shops here and now they're Whole Foods. Like throughout the time, still grocery store. Like God, it's not the exact thing that it says in the Bible or whatever. All the old thoughts were, the fear, the Catholic Church, all that stuff. But it's that energy that we can't explain, and I like keeping the branding. I'm gonna talk to myself right now, but I like.
I think whatever is true to you and you connect to it. If you feel more love connecting to it, and whatever word you want to use, great. I mean, man, we all know when we feel joy or love or happiness, and we're in that flow, or in that like that feeling. I mean, that's God to me. You know, like being connected, and whatever you want to call it, or however you want to do it. I mean, shit, I don't know how it's different for everybody. That's the problem, is we try and conceptualize everything into this word or this idea that has to be the same for everybody. Right. It doesn't matter what it is. Right. How do you feel? What connects you to it? You know, and if that's true to you, then that's perfect. But again, comparing,
we need a word to communicate it.
Somebody's like, well, yeah, exactly, God, but like somebody else's God may be a different thing. And you're right, though. I like the word now because I have a different perspective on it.
Yeah,
because I just say it. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Right. Nice. I love it. What's your favorite book?
Oh, it's a good question. Just randomly fucking favorite book.
I saw those books behind you, and I've been reading more on paper lately. And
what is my favorite book, like of all time or
all time?
Well, I would say the book that changed my perspective and got me on like a different spiritual path would have to be The Power of Now. I'm not going to say that's my favorite because I have different books for different things.
Okay. Who's the author of that? I've heard of it. I've never
Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
The Untethered Soul is a great book.
Yes, I have listened to that. I've never read it. I mean,
things like Think and Grow Rich, Happy Pocket Full of Money, stuff like that taught me how to think about subconscious mind and gratitude.
God, I love the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Like do you read a lot now still?
Yeah, but I've taken a bit of a break. I read a lot for a while. I listened to this really good book. It's called The 5 Levels of Attachment, Toltec Wisdom. It was Don Miguel Ruiz, his son, the guy that wrote Four Agreements. Four Agreements is up there with one of the best I've ever read. You've read that,
never
right?
heard of it. No.
Oh, dude. If you're going to do anything today, get Four Agreements. It's a short read.
Down.
It's amazing.
I'm on the stage, where I'm like going back to actually reading the paper. So
okay,
I'm going to buy it.
So I would highly recommend Four Agreements. I believe is a book that every human on the planet should read. He talks about the 4 things that you should do. It's short, it's sweet. It's going to change your life. But his son wrote this book called 5 Levels of Attachment, the Toltec Wisdom or whatever. And it talks about the different levels of attachment we have to things and how we bring them. Kind of what I was saying, the stories that we bring into the present, depending on the emotional attachment to those things will mean how strongly our beliefs are about them now. And there's like different levels of attachment. So sports fans, some have this crazy attachment. That's like a level 4. Sometimes you have a little bit of attachment to something, but like it doesn't really define you. But there's different levels that really define who you are. And you get to understand, why do I have that? Why am I so committed to that idea? What is that? You know, like why? And
I just bought it, by the way, on Amazon. I just bought the paperback.
What did you buy? Which one? Four Agreements?
Yeah, 4 Agreements.
Well, yeah, the other one I was talking about is his son wrote the 4 levels.
Sorry, I zoned out a little bit because I was buying a book.
No, that's okay.
Dude, I love that attachment thing. I love that attachment thing because tell me how this relates to it. Because I grew up loving sports. I love sports. Like I love sports, but I don't really as much anymore as I've kind of matured as I gotten older because it's childish. Like, oh, go team. Like I'm watching a bunch of guys younger than me go play a game.
Get paid millions.
Yeah. And like, hey, I mean, I get it. I love it. I think it's cool. I still I still check the standings, and like I still play actually fantasy football with my friends is a way to keep in touch with my friends. I go home every August back to Philly where I'm from and see all my friends for the weekend and do the draft is like my thing. Now I set my lineup for fantasy football, but on Sundays, I'm just at the office working, doing my thing. And then I check the scores later. Like I save so much time by not watching sports, and it's childish to just, my week is ruined. The Eagles lost. My week is ruined. Is that kind of what
that's a level of attachment? Yeah. Like so you go somewhere like London, somebody that, football watches soccer, it's like a diehard. They get their identity is so tied up into that character that sports is literally it. There's some people that, watch a game. Oh, they lost. Oh, well, okay. It's over. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I agree with you. As I played hockey my whole life, and I found now that I care less about sports because I'm like, why do I actually care about this?
Yeah.
I found when I drank and I go to bars more, I care more about sports because I kind of get kind of stupid and drink some beers, eat some wings.
It is fun. It can be
great.
It can be a form of breaking free,
great.
meditation. Yeah.
It's a form of fun and escape. But that's what it is. It's an escape. Exactly. It's like, okay, great. But at what level are you attached to that? Are you gonna go home and like, punch your significant other or your friend in the face because your team lost? Well, that would be like a level 5.
I'm laughing because that's insane. Yeah.
But people do that. Like they won't let it go. But this what happens in life is like people have these levels of attachment to things, and you see it even now on social media. People get so wrapped up in the story, like, I will not change. I am this. And it's like, what are you? Are you just, you're not that. Yeah. It's the same thing when people say, a good buddy of mine said this to me. He's like, a lot of people that are depressed or go through different things, they call themselves, I am depressed. It's like, you aren't depressed. You're feeling depressed, but almost like we attach to the idea and we become that. And there's so many things that we do. And it's like, what level do you bring that into your reality? And I think sports is a really good analogy because he talked about it and I was like, oh man, this landed. And this kind of stuff is like what we're dealing with. And it's important to be able to let things go, man, and to be open to new things and new knowledge and challenge your beliefs. The worst thing you can do is not challenge your beliefs. The best thing you can do, I think Mark Manson talks about this. He's like, if you believe in something, the best thing you can do is have somebody that is completely opposite and challenge your beliefs, because you're not only either you're going to change your opinion or you're going to get better at your argument.
Yes.
Otherwise you become so one way and you become part of this echo chamber where everybody just agrees with the same shit and you don't learn anything and just becomes this like craziness. Right.
Dude, it's so important. I think it's interesting that, okay, we understand the sports argument, the sports conversation. Politics is team. Everyone's on their team. Everyone's on their own team, right? Like, but politics is different than sports as far as being on a team, because it's like real issues that might like touch your own world, like abortion, gun laws, taxes, all this stuff. Like, it's easier to just root for your team than it is to, I'm pro or against abortion. All of a sudden someone in my life needs one. It actually can touch you. So it's harder to just be on a team. It like touches you more. And that's sports. I love Notre Dame football. I don't know. I just do because it's fun. It's just a team I love. And my grandpa liked them. It's like kind of my family's thing. I understand how stupid it is. I don't love any other team, but I always say it's an irrational love. Anyone asks me, who's your favorite team? I say I irrationally love Notre Dame football because it's silly. But I don't do that with politics because it's more serious. It's not the most important thing in the world, but it's like, I'm not going to just, I'm in love with this idea and then whatever these guys say. Cause no, man, like you have to think, you have to be open, and it's hard for people to do that, I guess, if they don't have
politics is a good example of being attached to something just because.
But it's like all these things. It's like, okay, you
have to either be all in one side or all in the other.
I have I'm just making up a fake person. Like, I have a gun. I'm very much pro guns and I'm a big gun guy, but I'm a Democrat. And then like, Bull, but my side, I'm not my side saying this one thing that I actually believe in. It's like really screwing with my head, man. Like it's harder to do it. Yes, politics is team. And that's obviously a problem.
It's either you're with us or you're against us.
And that makes it real weird.
It doesn't have to be like that.
It's easier to be like that in sports because it's funny, but in politics it's not funny, and it's actually a problem. And you're Canadian?
Yeah.
Yeah, America. You know us. We're wild.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't even get me started with our shit that's going on up here.
Yeah, I think it's the niceness, right? Like being nice is a good thing, but being nice about every single thing doesn't let you face they're avoiding you from facing adversity.
Yeah, I mean, the whole dynamic of, United States and Canada, we're just like the little brothers that just kind of like just do whatever. And I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm grateful to be Canadian, but there's a lot of issues right now that I'm not happy about, that's going on in the world, that it's really disappointing, really disappointing to see. I never thought would come, whether, you believe it or not. There's shit going on in the world right now that people like to deny and have their head in the clouds, but it's, things are heating up, and, it is what it is. It's what we're dealing with. But man, I never thought we'd be dealing with some of the shit that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah. I'm semi-familiar. We don't need to go deep into it, but just give me one. Like, is it the speech thing?
Oh yeah.
What's Jordan
I
Peterson?
mean, it's a lot.
That was like 5 years ago.
It's a lot like, it's a lot. I would compare it to like California, what's going on, like it's
power control.
Yeah.
Stuff.
It's
honestly, I think those people do come from, there's a group of them. A lot of them are power hungry and they love the control, but the minions in that group, they're nice and they're kind, and they don't want people to.
They have the best intentions.
Yes, that's what I mean.
But they just are lost in the shit, the manipulation of it.
The adversity, everything that you talk about, the fear and the problems and the facing the problems and facing the cobwebs and putting your problems in front of your face, like you said. They don't want that because it's painful, and they don't want people to go through pain. It's niceness to its biggest flaw, which is not letting people develop as human beings and living their best lives.
Well, and instead of looking at it or having an open dialogue, it's cancel you. You say something wrong, no forgiveness, you're just done. That's not the way.
Yeah.
How do you learn about somebody? How do you get to learn? How do you heal? How do you fix the problem without understanding the person? You don't. This is how we have to move forward, is we have to understand the person that says something different and why they think this way. Instead of like, shut up, you don't believe in this, you're canceled, you're offended.
It's like a gut check. It's like I like this stuff. I like this stuff. I hear something I don't like. You have to train your gut to take the little punch. Ooh, I didn't like that. But then it's a training. I think it's a training. You get a gut punch of something you don't like, and you have to train yourself to go, okay,
yeah,
I'll listen.
You have to have the openness to listen to people and understand and get curious around why they're saying this. It's a human with a story, and they're saying it for a reason. So if we just shut everybody down, how are we going to fucking learn anything? How are we going to grow? It's impossible. Like, that's the problem. It's like censoring stuff isn't the issue, is a big issue. It's not the right thing. And I mean, I know everybody talks about, Rogan talks about this, Patrick Bet-David talks about this. The only way for us to learn and get better is to have open dialogue and open conversation. You believe that? Interesting. Why do you believe that? Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Well, because if we don't, we're just hiding from our insecurities. Because what happens is somebody that triggers us, all it's doing is highlighting some sort of fear, insecurity within us. And instead of dealing with it, we want to shut it down. It's literally trauma in the making. It's like we're living in a traumatized world, bro. Everybody wants to shut down the option of having to be uncomfortable. Instead, just close those off. So I don't have to feel this. So we can just hide and all get together. It's both sides are like this, both sides of the spectrum.
For sure.
And like, the right, the left, it's there's both I know both sides, and it's like, it's just an interesting time. I don't know shit about politics. I'm not going to claim to, but like I've just noticed. I'm noticing people, and I'm noticing how we communicate, and our communication with each other and understanding the opposite person and what they believe in is important. And if we don't do that, man, it's not gonna be pretty, moving forward.
Right. It's easy to think about it in the short term, but there's a lot of time ahead for human beings, and we got to be able to handle that stuff, because we won't advance. We won't advance if we don't bang together to make fire, or whatever the cliche phrase is. Great ideas come from friction, and that's what I think you're doing with your podcast, man. I love what you're doing, dude. This is
Thanks, bro.
This has been one of my favorite. This is my podcast, right? I kind of zoned out, man. Like, this has been so awesome. I bought a book.
Awesome.
I bought a book. Like, this is usually when you're a guest, like you said, people ask you about adversity and stuff like that. Today I was kind of just like, fuck it. Like I told you before you came on, I said, I'm going to do the introduction. I'm not going to say like at the end, I'm just in like this different zone today. And
it's awesome.
That's you hit me at a good time, I feel like. And I feel good. I feel good about this podcast. And also, I don't give a fuck, because that's like the zone I'm in. I don't have a producer. I don't even know how. I got 2 cameras. I don't even know how I'm gonna get this thing done. But I mean, my guy will still do it if I need him to. But I'm looking for. But yeah, dude, I'm at a point with the podcast, and I was talking about today where I just feel good. I feel good about this, man. And awesome, and I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I had a great conversation. You'll have to come on mine. We'll jam about it, everything again. I like this, man. I like to just talk about shit, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but I didn't, I purposely didn't prepare for this. It's sometimes the mood I was in today. It's sometimes the best. I'm the same. People ask me, how much do you prepare? I'm like, I have to go with my gut. And it's funny because Rogan was talking about this too. And I was like, damn, he understands. I know exactly what he means. It's like, you got to go with your intuition. Like sometimes you have to prepare more than there's certain people. I've been underprepared. Me too. Yeah. But for me, there's times where I'm like, I feel like I need to really learn and know and understand this person and listen to some stuff. But then there's times where I'm like today for Brad Lee, I was like, I'm just going to roll with it. I go with my intuition, and always the times that I just trust the conversation is always the best ones. When I'm over prepared, it doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel as authentic. So I always tell people, like, know your shit. Like, you want to know a little bit, but you also want to have this level of curiosity, because I genuinely like to learn. I don't want to ask questions that I already know the answer to. It might not come off right. Yeah, exactly. It's important to have, to know the direction of generally the human you're speaking to, what they're doing. Right. Like, look at their page, it's also good to leave a level of curiosity. And I recommend make a few jot points, because sometimes it's tough, because like some people, you're doing great. You do great job. But sometimes it's like, you'll have people, this is for all the people that are thinking about podcasting. Sometimes you'll have a sudden stop, and they're kind of like monotone, and you're like, oh shit. Right. And you're like, what do you do? And you kind of forget, and it all happens. And so like, if you don't have a couple points, or if you don't know where you're going to take that next question, it's good to know, all right, how am I going to loop this around? Yes. So that's a tip for people. It's like, have a couple little notes, but really have a level of curiosity. I'm looking at my couple little notes I have for you. It's just a few jobs. I didn't even get to most of them. Yeah. So like, that means that I didn't need them, and that's fine. That's good. And that's good. I had Elizabeth April there. I asked you what your favorite book was. I didn't have that written down. Ray Charles was in your. Ray Charles he's got your back. That's why. Ray Charles. I love Ray Charles. Oh, and this one fell too. You ever see this movie? For everybody looking. You know this movie? Remember the Titans? Oh yeah. Everybody listening. There's Ray Charles in the back of Sean's place. It's awesome. I was wondering, where's the Kanye, bro? Dude, I have one somewhere. Ray Charles is dope, man. Ray Charles got addicted to heroin and then got clean without just. I need to watch that movie. Dude, he was oh my God, Jamie Foxx, amazing. He was addicted to heroin, and then he
they were gonna wean him off, give him a little, and he just said no, cold turkey, and was like, probably not what you should do, but he like stayed up like 12 days in a row in the hospital bed, freaking out, just cold turkey off heroin, and that's what he wanted to do, and he got off it. That's my favorite thing about him, besides for his like amazing music. And
I'm gonna watch that now. I didn't know that. I've been meaning to watch that movie for years, and it's on Netflix. I just haven't watched it. But
it's on Netflix now.
It was a few weeks ago. Maybe I
have a specific list of my top 5 favorite movies, and that's in it.
Oh, like, I love hearing movies that people are like, you haven't seen that? You have to see it.
Ray, Ray. Yeah. I mean, I love the story. I love the actual guy. And then the depiction by Jamie Foxx, the music. Oh, so good. Dude. Yeah, Jamie Foxx. Oh my God. The way he plays him with like the little blind, like little movements and stuff, nails it. Such a good movie.
Awesome.
All right, bro. Lance, this has been amazing. And we're connected now, right? Like,
yeah, brother.
We're doing shit in the future.
We'll get you on my show too.
Hell yeah, man. We got great journeys ahead of us. And I came into this day a little down on myself, and you personally talking to you made me feel better. So I appreciate that.
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I love chatting with you. I feel great as well. This was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Go follow Lance. Woo! Google him. Peace.